Thank you, Senator. Good evening. I'm chairman of the Wood County Democratic Executive Committee, and obviously I have a high level of interest in this subject. I read the local papers and the Charleston Gazette daily, and some of the things that are commented on, I think, are sort of off base. Because of the confusion, I called the redistricting office in Charleston this afternoon, and I understand very clearly the priorities are that you folks here tonight are primarily concerned with senatorial districts, state senatorial districts. The delegates, House of Delegates, of course, take care of their own. Then jointly between the two of you address congressional district issues. I tend to believe that if it's working reasonably well, don't mess with it. Now, I understand the mandate, the necessity of balancing the population from district to district, and I'm sure that that job will be done. For those that want to have a little conflict over single delegate district versus multiple delegate districts, and we have one of those in District 10 here, and two of the gentlemen are sitting here, and we think we've got a wonderful arrangement. But anyhow, for those who really want to mess with that, I say, well, if you want to really change things, then let's look at the congressional districts. I'd ask the question, what are the differences in interest in people over on the Potomac River and people over on the Ohio River? And we've got a district that is really a weird looking thing. It runs all the way across there. Of course, the solution to that would be add one county to District 3 to balance things out. It needs a little bit of help down there population-wise. Roughly draw a line along Interstate 79 north and south, and you've got West District, East District, District 1, District 2, and a very interesting thing because that would throw Kanawha County, Wood County, and the northern panhandle all together. And we'd have some fun next year.
And gentlemen, I appreciate the opportunity to address you. It's rare when you get a chance to speak to so many senators, House delegates, members at one time. I'm curious, though, since the opportunity is here, whether there's anyone on the panel who will state unequivocally that they support or oppose single delegate districts. I understand this is a meeting about Senate districts, but I think you will end up voting on the issue of single delegate districts one way or the other. And I think it will be an excellent opportunity for the people to start learning where the support is and where the resistance is. Because I have yet to hear a legitimate argument that says that single delegate districts does not more sincerely meet the requirement of one man, one vote. It's just impossible to present such an argument, and I'm still waiting to hear one. So that's just one man's opinion, but I think it's shared by a number of others. With regard to the congressional districts, there is also no sensible argument against just simply moving Mason County into the 3rd and balancing the district numbers very nicely within the limits required by the code. Anything else is tantamount to messing with the district line simply for political gain, for loss. Just don't see any other way around that. The argument, I think, is almost transparent when you talk about shifting congressional lines north and south. There's a very transparent argument as to why that's being presented as a possible alternative, and I would hope you would see through it. Resist that effort. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. It's good to be before you again. I'm sorry that the full panel from the last meeting in Huntington wasn't here because one of the senators made some comment about my proposal to put Wayne County back together, and he wasn't too happy with that. But I would like to kind of tie that in with some comments that were made by the Lincoln County folks at the Chapmanville meeting. And that has to do with the magisterial districts. Now, as I told you in previous meetings, I've been working this for 30 years. And back in 1981, I sent the information about the inequities among the various managed school districts across the state to A. James Manchin, who was then Secretary of State, and he sent out orders or letters to all the county commissions to try to bring them into compliance with the state code. And the first sentence of 7-2-2 about managed school districts says, each county should be laid off by the county court, now county commission, into managed school districts not less than 3, nor more than 10 in number, and as nearly equal as may be in territory and population. Now that's a requirement that the legislature has imposed on the county commissioners. So I would submit that if you have you impose a rule on the county commissioners in terms of a multi-member district, and we're not getting the House of Delegates members, but county commissions are elected at large in most counties, and there's some, as are county school boards. But there are limits about how many people can live in a managed school district. If you're in a county commission, you can't have more than one person in a managed school district from that managed school district on the commission. If it's a county board, school board, no more than 2. Those are both now in the state constitution. Now, one of the problems I've had with the way the legislature has been splitting up the district that includes Cabell and Wayne County, which used to be all of both counties until I was out of law school, approximately, was that you had a little tiny piece of Wayne County put in with all of Cabell County. Well, there's a problem there, because if you want the rest of the state to comply with the ideas that you have roughly equal sizes in your election districts, and you have Cabell County has 96,000 people, and a little piece of Wayne County that has somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 people, that's manifestly unfair in terms of the public or somebody wanting to run for office, because that is a very small universe if you live in that little district in Wayne County, but it's a very big universe if you live in that district in Cabell County. And one of the many reasons I want to split up the big counties, Wood County accepted, because Wood County don't need to do it, is that if you're going to have 2 people go to the state senate, I assert that you should have more than 1/34 of the state's population in that county. If a county has less than 1/34 of the state's population, you shouldn't be splitting it up unless you absolutely have to. And the only place you absolutely have to do that is in Marshall County, because when you're coming down with the 1st senatorial district, you have to have all of Hancock, all of Brooke, all of Ohio, and then to get to 109,000, you have to take about 1/3 of Marshall County if you're going to comply with the state constitution. But that is not necessary with respect to Cabell and Wayne. So I've said repeatedly, put Wayne back together. It's been separated for about 30 years. Put it back together and split Cabell. Put the part of Huntington with Cabell, the part of Huntington that's in Cabell with Wayne, because part of Huntington's in Wayne. Put the precincts along the Ohio River with Wayne. But put the rest of Cabell, that's Barkersville, for example, and Milton, put that over in with the adjacent county of Lincoln. That's the logical one. Or if you want to hit the other county, Mason, or if you want to do that, that's fine. But just continuing to have for the legislature to create a very small piece of a county in terms of population is so small it is a speck on this map of the senatorial district. You try to find it. If you look at this map of the senatorial district, it's like about the size of maybe a 1/4 or a 1/5 of an inch. If you can't even, it's right there where my finger's pointing to. It's almost invisible. If you look at the West Virginia Senate Districts map, it looks like Wayne County split 2 ways. You have to look very carefully to see where Senator Plum was located because it's so small. So what I'm just saying is, that to me has been always unfair, and he didn't have anything to do with it. It goes back to when Senator Heck, and perhaps before him. But it seems to me, when you split up that senatorial district so that 96,000 plus are on one side and less than 10,000 on the other side, that is not a good use of the discretion of the West Virginia State Senate. Now, Senator Bowles asked me several times, what is my proposal on the State Senate for her district? And my proposal is to have a very compact district, which would be all of Wood, all of Wirt, all of Ritchie, and all of Pleasance, which is consistent. If you go back 30 or 40 years, it used to be those 4 counties plus Calhoun. But this district that I have suggested would be a little bit over 110,000. And with the averages, that and the part of Kanawha County that I live in would have almost identical populations, both of which would be under 111,000. Those would be the 2 most populous districts. So the idea is you should try to approach perfection, not try to go for the 5% on either side that you keep hearing about. Don't go for a C-, go for an A. The state constitution says that the senatorial districts are supposed to be as close as possible numerically, but not crossing state lines, not crossing county lines. And what I said is, under my plan, you only cross 7, you only split up 7 counties, the other 48 are not split up, and the counties, except for Marshall, all those are counties that have more than 1/34 of the state's population. With respect to single-member districts, I've been fighting for that for years. I fought for single-member districts in South Charleston back in 1982 and 83. We had to go to, we had initiative referendum recall in South Charleston, and I drafted a provision that's now in the city charter that we have 8 single-member wards. But before that, we had 4 2-member wards and 2 1-member wards. And when I told the council we ought to switch to single-member districts, there was a bipartisan majority overwhelmingly against me. If it hadn't been for the fact that we have initiative referendum recall, we couldn't have overridden the city council. And a lot of them got voted out of office. I'm not asking anybody to vote out of office this year. All I'm just saying is we need to move into the 21st century. The county that I live in the district that I live in next to New Hampshire, which is the worst state in the country as far as multi-member districts. I live in the second worst state, which is West Virginia. I live in the county that has the most members in the multi-member district, which is the 30th. There's 7 people elected in my district, and they're mostly from Charleston and South Charleston. You have areas like St. Albans that have way more than 18,000 people. I'm talking about the St. Albans High School attendance area. Probably have about 25,000 or so. Nobody has been in the legislature from St. Albans since the death of Dick Henderson. You have the Upper Kanawha Valley, which is roughly Riverside attendance area. We haven't had anybody from there since Rudy Sechrist and Leo Copeland. And I think Rudy Sechrist maybe even moved to Charleston when he was elected, but I mean, he used to be Mayor Bell. Leo Copeland was Republican from Eastbound. Those folks are the ones who vote, in the Upper Kanawha Valley, that's where you get a lot of the straight Democratic votes that send Democrats to county offices in Kanawha County. I think at the very least, we ought to be able to give those people at least one district that's wholly within that area that's a single-member district. So I'm working on those plans. I've been working on single-member, looking at Parkersburg and Vienna, where I've been going through those. But the good thing is they already have single-member districts. They don't have the problem we have in Kanawha County where we have multi-member districts. But that doesn't mean I necessarily agree with the current boundaries between them. But the big fight is over. Just as it is in Berkeley County, you all have single-member districts in Berkeley County. We're still way behind the rest of the state. We still have this big multi-member district. So anyway, I'm hoping that Joe Vaughn will finish my refined version on my Senate redistricting proposal, but under that we get the same for this district as for the first thing, which is put those 4 counties into Senate District number 3, no divided counties, and Pleasance and Wood have been in for a long time, and they will continue to be so if the Senate adopts my proposal. Thank you.